Hello again. Shall we start with some good injury news, Ange? Because I don't think those words have been in a sentence, have they, for a while? The joy at having the likes of Vicario, Maddison and Destiny back, and what that gives you on Sunday in terms of fresh bodies but fresh minds and people raring to go, I imagine.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's been a good week, fair to say, in terms of the health and well-being of the group of young men I look after. I think that the guys who have been playing have benefited a fair bit from having a couple of days off and just regenerating, and I think that's been really important for us. And on the injury front, certainly good to have some significant players back for training purposes to start with, because it just raised the level and the quality of our training, and but also in terms of helping us from a playing perspective. Vicario, yes, trained really well. He's good to go. Matters is good to go. And then we've had Destiny, Wilson, Brennan also training with the group, and they're in a good space as well. So like I said, it's been a good training week.
In terms of Romero and Van der Ven, obviously we've seen bits of Van der Ven, haven't we? And you were a bit more hopeful that they might be back around now. Has there been a sort of setback, or you're just having to be super, super cautious?
No, it's not either. It's about sort of, like I said with Micky, it's just, we made a decision, and I was certainly the catalyst of that, to just have a look at exactly, beyond the injury, how we can get him back in a good space. So he's doing some different things. He's working with some different people, just to, not as much about the injury, as much about just the mechanics of him, and because we want him back, and we want him back in a real good space, and he's training. He feels really good. So we're still confident. It's going to be, his return is imminent, but we just want to make sure we get it right. With Romero, it's just been a kind of healing issue. The injury hadn't healed up as quickly as we thought it would, which, again, we could have pushed him, risked it, but we've kind of just waited and given it a bit more time, so we'll get some clear indication as to his healing, and depending on that, again, his return could be imminent as well.
And I know we spoke a bit about United this morning, but when Ruben Amorim came in, he came in with a very clear way of the way he wanted to play football, and I mean, something you obviously aspired to do as well. And how much respect do you have to give him, given the noise going on, given the problems that are clearly going on at that club, in terms of him keeping what he wants to do in that kind of, in that focus?
Yeah, look, I've said before, I've got respect for all managers, because I know how tough it is, but I'm sure if you asked Ruben, that he would say, well, he's just doing what he was brought in to do. And there's no point, he's come in to, obviously they've scouted him, they've identified him, the way he plays, the way he goes about his business. You don't just make these appointments because, you like the look of someone. You do actually a lot of work, and you bring him in with a purpose. Now, if anyone believes that anything can change significantly in a short space of time, we're living in an alternate universe that's not based in reality, I'm sure if, who am I to sort of advise anybody, but, if Man United stuck with Ruben for the next 2 years, they'd see progress, absolutely, because that's how long it takes. And if somebody can show me somebody who's done it quicker, without significant investment, by all means, put it across my desk, and I'll follow that blueprint. But we know there's a blueprint there, and I'm sure, irrespective of the noise, and like I said, I've only literally spoken to Ruben maybe for 30 seconds at a game. I'm sure he's there, and he's going, what, I'm going to do what I was brought in to do, and that's what he should do.
Ian, please.
Hi, Ange, how are you?
I'm good.
So Romero and Van der Ven possibly back imminently. Can you be more specific?
No, mate, because it's. I'm not a doctor, and also, as I keep saying, there's a barrier that you can't cross when you're talking about people, and whether that's injuries or medically. As I said, I'm not. Unless you want to call me a liar, what I'm saying is that both of them are training. There's evidence of that if you want that. Both of them are in a good place in terms of their recovery. Different reasons we've held both back, and once they're right, they'll be in.
I most certainly was not calling you a liar, and I'm just thinking, because you've now got seemingly from the outside all or nothing on the Europa League this season. Are you saving them for that competition?
No, and we're not all or nothing on anything. We still want to progress in the league. We're not happy with the position we're in. There's still significant games. Not like there's only a few games to go. There's still a lot of football to be played in the league, and we want to address our league position and finish the season strong. And alongside that, like you said, you're perfectly right that obviously the Europa League now is a great focus for us with us being out of the other cups. But we're not saving anyone for anything, because ultimately what I want is, both Micky and Romero have had disrupted seasons in that, they've got injured, come back, got injured again. I don't want the same scenario. Whilst it may look with Micky like we had a false start with the Elfsborg thing, I just thought he gave us an indication of where he's at. And we could have pushed on, absolutely. We could have pushed on with Romero, but my view is let's get him back and get him back right till the end of the season, so that we give them a chance as well to kind of make a contribution to hopefully a strong finish for us.
And finally, undoubtedly, this has been probably one of your best weeks the whole season, because you've had a chance to.
We haven't had a game.
We haven't had a game, yeah.
And we haven't lost. Yeah, it's been a decent week, yeah. Fair to say.
I wasn't going to mention the losing, but
That's all right.
But in all seriousness, do you feel like your old self again? Because there've been times the last few weeks whereby
We've been grumpy.
You've been a little bit grumpy, yeah.
Fair enough too.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's like I've had to do this 3 times a week, sometimes on 0 sleep. Cut me a little bit of slack. I mean, I can't be bubbly and cheery all the time. No, look, I fair to say, I appreciated the fact there wasn't a game this week. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had dinner with my family last night. My boy said, "It seems like you haven't had a game for a while, Dad. It's only been 4 days." But that's the cycle we've all been in, and not just me, the other coaches. It's certainly, when you're going at it all the time, you do get into this cycle where it does become a bit of a grind, but you have to do it. There's no alternative. I can't not do things that I'm responsible for. So having the opportunity of, like I said, even this, not having to front up, 2 or 3 times and kind of answer the same kinds of questions allows you to sort of just take a breath, and hopefully I'm back to whatever I was before. But
you do feel like a new man.
I'm the same man. I feel like the same man I've always been, and I'm sure that grumpiness will emerge at the appropriate time if it needs.
Hi, Ange. How important is it to have Vicario and maybe Maddison's leadership back in there?
Yeah, massive. Yeah, both of them, particularly Vic, because with Vic, it's not just he's an outstanding goalkeeper. Even training today, he's such a presence amongst the boys. He really gets everyone going, and it's been tough without him, because we've used 3 other goalkeepers, and all of them have contributed. None of them have sort of let us down. It's just that Vic's like I said, he's experienced. He's got this strong personality. So great to have him back. And Matt is the same. Matt has got enormous self-belief, and that sort of filters through the team as well. So I think the energy and, like I said, experience they bring. I've already noticed the training will certainly make a difference for us.
Maddison a doggy able to start if you need them, or is it more a bench role?
Matt is a possibility. Destiny, with the guys who've missed a little bit more. I mean, Matt has sort of been the shorter term one. We'll see whether they start or on the bench. I mean, again, looking at our schedule, we've got another good week next week where no game, we can train, and then we've got a midweeker. And what I really want is to get to that space. We've got a midweeker where, the likes of Destiny, Wilson, Brennan, Timo at a stretch, all get some game time, so that, if we need to rotate for Ipswich into City that these guys have played significant minutes.
It's interesting earlier you were saying about working with Micky on maybe the mechanics of his body.
Yeah.
Is that because of the previous hamstring injuries that are before Spurs as well? Is that kind of just...
Yeah, it's just him understanding his body. And look, it's not my space, but, you know, you kind of look for the experts in those areas, and there's been various people who are sort of looking at different ways because he's you know, he is an elite athlete, but he's also at the extremities of kind of speed and with all those kind of athletes, you know, there are different methodologies in how to get to the space where they can perform at that optimum level without putting their body at risk. And so, you know, he's still a very young man in terms of footballing, both experience and his career. So we want to get it right because, you know, what you want is, you know, Micky to play 10 years at the best possible level, and, you know, this gives us an opportunity, hopefully, to kind of address as much as we can in season to give him the best chance of getting back to the level we know he can get to.
Just very quickly, just the last one. It's first chance to ask you about the Europa League squad changes you made. Had to get it in there. Can you just explain the 3 changes?
Yeah, pretty straightforward. I mean, obviously with Radu going down, we're kind of short a central defender there, and with Micky and Romero still, you know, we've got to see when they go back. I think it made sense for us to bring Kevin and Jed back into the squad, and obviously, you know, keen to bring Matty in as well. That's why we signed him. So we can only make the 3 changes. We're obviously still kind of limited because we don't have sort of club trained, and that's going to be an issue for us for the next couple of years. So that kind of limits the opportunities for us to tinker anymore. But with the 3 changes, I thought they were the logical ones.
Hi Ange, from what you were saying, it sounded like Vicario's still the number 1 goalkeeper, now he's back. I was just wondering how you see the relationship between him and Kinski, and how well Kinski's done and how he can progress as well.
He's still the number 1. I mean, you know, he got injured when we beat Man City and we were 5th on the table, so, you know, he wasn't dropped, so he was injured, so he's back now, and certainly we're happy to have him back. I've been really happy with Tony. You know, even at Villa, I mean, obviously, you know, he made the mistake, but his reaction to that was, I thought, outstanding for a 21-year-old in that environment to bounce back from a mistake like that. I mean, we've thrown him in and given him some enormous tasks with very little sort of preparation, and I just think he's going to be an outstanding goalkeeper. And you know, Brandon as well, you know, has really grown through this period. So I know Birchie's really happy now with the goalkeeping group, in that, you know, we've got a really strong goalkeeping group now that can push each other, and you know, really pleased to get Tony into the club, because we think he's going to be an outstanding goalkeeper, and no better one to work alongside than Vic.
I was at Aston Villa, and obviously you got asked about your style of play after that game, and I was also looking at the data, and the intensity's been dialed down maybe for the last 4 games for obvious reasons, but I was wondering, with the week off, you know, with players coming back, can you kind of go back towards what you believe in?
We never stop going towards what we believe in. It's just that we weren't able to do it. As I said after the game, it's you know, you're talking about players who are fatigued, tired, mentally, physically, facing enormous challenges with, you know, 60-hour intervals. There hasn't been a change of approach. What the week does give us, it does give us a chance to sort of re-energise and hopefully you know, allow us to better execute, you know, the kind of football we want to play.
That style of football that you're known for, that's going to continue really from now on, do you hope? Is that the kind of aim and plan? It's
always been the aim. It's never changed. It's never wavered from that. That's the kind of football we want to play. That's the kind of team we want to be. And you know, with like I said, the next sort of 2 to 3 weeks allows us to both get some players back, which will help with our training, help with our preparation, help with our sort of ability to rotate, but also not having midweek games gives us a good chance to recover between games to reach those levels.
Thanks. Hi, Ange. Just wanted to ask one about Sonny. Just as captain, can you give us a bit of an insight about the sort of things he does off the pitch, you know, sort of behind the scenes? Because I imagine his leadership's been quite important during a difficult period.
Yeah, look, you know, he's you know, I think with Sonny, the main thing is he kind of sets a standard in terms of the way he trains, the way he prepares himself. He sets the example with his everything he does in and around the club and outside the club, and he tries to be a positive sort of influence on everyone, keep everyone's sort of mind focused in a positive way. And it hasn't been easy because he has been feeling the same as the other players, fatigue, and it's hard to kind of put that to one side as an individual because you're a leader and sort of try to transfer that positiveness to others. But I think for him, and I think some of the other guys have stepped up as well in this period. The fact that the players have kind of stuck together through that whole process, that at no stage do they kind of splinter off or look to absolve any responsibility of themselves as individuals, is a testament to the fact that that there's a good bonding there that's been sort of laid down by Sonny and the other leaders that hopefully now he gets a bit of help, like I said, with guys like Vic and Matters who are on our leadership group. Romero's the other one that can help him sort of carry the load.
Did you sort of feel those, as captain, obviously having been here for so many years, that he sort of felt that sense of responsibility a bit more during this sort of difficult period?
I think, I'm sure he did, but that's the nature of leadership. There's no point taking on a leadership role if you don't want that responsibility. That's an essential core part of leading people, is that during tough times you have to carry the extra load. Otherwise, you're better off not being in that position. So it's not easy, and it requires a lot of sort of discipline and internal sort of fortitude to make sure that you're constantly putting aside your own personal feelings for the better of the group.
Finish with Dan, please.
And just one more on Micky, if I can. I mean, you said you're kind of seeing different people. Are you speaking to people from outside the club? Is that to kind of get expert advice on it?
Yeah, we always are. But yeah, we've kind of had a couple of people externally have a look at him and sort of give him some more sort of guidance and information, and to our staff as well about some things he can do maybe differently, which will help him. Like I said, as much of it around sort of not the injury, but just making sure that his body is better equipped to handle the kind of athlete he is.
How frustrating is it for him? Because I remember his interview after the Europa League game. He seemed so pleased to be back. I guess he's very frustrated.
Yeah, he was frustrated, but I had a good chat to him, and I just because he just wanted to. I guess he probably just wanted to keep going, but I just said to him, look, it's he's still got a 10-year career in front of him, and once he's well into his career and he's flying, this period will seem insignificant of an extra 2 or 3 weeks for the benefit, hopefully, of him, like I said, coming back and playing to the levels. He's a big part of this football club, and not just for the now, but for the future as well. And it's in our interest. You always got to protect your assets, and he's a major asset of this football club. And his career is much more important than 1 or 2 weeks of just doing some extra work.
At any point, have you worried that either Micky or Kuti might need surgery?
No, never close to. No, neither of them have ever been discussed. The injuries aren't. I'm not. Again, I don't know why people think I'm hiding stuff, and maybe I don't explain myself clearly. The injuries were the injuries. Kuti had a quad strain and Micky had a hamstring. It wasn't like when Wilson did his hamstring, he had surgery. There was no issue there, and he was out for 3 months. Micky was never ever close, never discussed. It was never. But when you re-injure something, then there's invariably a more cautious approach. When it's somebody like Micky, who's like I said, an extreme athlete, I think you need, in my experience, just take it a little bit further. But surgery is never ever entered any discussion with either player. Now, if we push them back early and they weren't ready, then that becomes a real issue, and we tried to avoid that. But it was never surgery. The injury was the injury. It was a hamstring. Kuti, it's a quad, and they're both. Like I said, with Micky, there's no issue around the injury anymore. It's just more about mechanics. With Kuti, it was just healing slower than we thought it would.
Okay, we'll end the broadcast section there. Move on to the Embargoed section for 10:30 p.m. tonight. Tom?
Sorry to missed it one. When you said Romero and Van der Bellen are both training, can you explain to the layman at least why they can train but they can't?
Because it's a different sort of intensity. And when I say training, they're not training always with the team. They're doing a lot of individual stuff, which is more based around them getting back to the levels of we need to. So, and again, to just paint a clearer picture, we've hardly trained for 2.5 months. I keep saying that you blokes could have joined in our training, and I mean that seriously. We've literally been walking around just going through tactical stuff. So for them to join at that serves no purpose, because they get nothing out of it physically, because our guys have just been recovering. So it's just now with the last 3 days, and the hope is that we kind of can drop, now we're training properly, is Micky and Romero over the next couple of weeks to really then be part of our team training totally. So, call it modified, call it what you want. But a lot of their work now is individual training. What I'm saying is they're not bedridden, they're not sitting on, just getting treatment. They're out there running. They're doing significant training, but it's just not with the team always.
You said a couple of weeks. Is it fair to hope that they'll be fit for that Europa League game?
Yeah, with sort of a bit of for want of better words, some momentum in terms of them getting some good training weeks. Yeah, if it's not then, it won't be much after. We've got an international break, so it won't be much after that. And I'd include Domino as well. So he's in a similar sort of boat where I think once the boys get sort of the green light, they're going to push pretty hard to. But some of it's like Matters should have been out probably another 2 weeks. I think Vicario we had scheduled in for middle of March, so it just depends on the players. But I'd certainly expect Micky and Kuti to be around the mark at that time.
Do you feel like the season starts again here? Does it feel like a...
I wish it did, mate. Yeah, but it doesn't. We're still in the same position. We're still kind of dealing with certain things, but I think your point is, well, I think I said after the Villa game, is it a chance for a little bit of a reset? I think there's a natural physical break for us, which I think allows us to think about, okay, from here onwards, there's an opportunity now to maybe change the course of our season. But you can't ignore what's happened, and you're still carrying remnants of that. It's not like that's not in our heads, the fact that we've, the disappointment of our league season, the disappointment of coming out in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup, the disappointment of Sunday are still there. So you still carry that with you. You can't just extinguish that. But is it an opportunity? Yes, for a little bit of a reset, because it's coincided also with some significant inclusions. I think there's an opportunity for that, yeah.
And do you reset targets within that? And do you sort of sit down and address the players on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got a sort of clear course now of what's left for us, that's for sure. So we kind of know league-wise, okay, well, this is kind of our program without too many disruptions anymore, because even with our league, games were getting shifted about. I mean, if we were in the Carabao Cup final, we'd be playing Fulham next week and midweek. Now we're not. We know that that's not there. And then with Europe, again, it's a pretty set path. So it does give us a chance to sort of map out the rest of our season and also give the players some clear sort of objectives as to how we can tackle it.
What would satisfy you? What in terms of you're in a cup, you want to win it, but in terms of the league?
Yeah, we need to improve our league position where we are. I don't think is reflective of what we have, and that's my role to get maximum out of the guys we have, and we need to move up the table and see where that takes us. I still think it's really tight. At some point, unless teams are really lucky, the kind of injuries we've had will catch up with other teams as well, I think, which gives us an opportunity if we can get on a run to move up the table. So we can't like I said, we can't put the queue in the rack in terms of the league and just say, well, let's just sort of peter out the season, finish wherever we finish. I think that's not the kind of mindset I want. We want to see, we need to improve our league form. We need to move up the table, and we need to tackle on the task of trying to win a European trophy.
Have you been able to do anything yourself to recharge? So if you played golf.
No, but fair to say it's been good, even just to have a couple of days. After the Villa game, obviously you deal with the disappointment of it, but just have a couple of days where, I could sort of just clear my head a little bit, because I really felt, it was the grind of the games, the constant kind of trying to figure out, ways we can navigate every sort of challenge we had on it, almost a daily basis. I said turning up to this 3, sometimes 4 times a week. It kind of, you don't feel it, but when you're in it, but afterwards you kind of go, okay, I need a bit of it's good to get a bit of a break where you can sort of clear your head, have some meaningful kind of conversations with people about just anything without something else being at the forefront of my mind. So physically I didn't do anything, I didn't go away or do anything, but just have a couple of days of, just being...
spare afternoon, have you got a box set you like to dig into, or a book or anything?
I'm a big reader, and I don't mind binging a series or two, so...
Give us an example of a series. I've seen how we used to tell us Game of Thrones all the time, which we used to like.
Game of Thrones, just whatever sort of takes my fancy. I don't want to throw one out there because then it'll get sort of a million hits, and I might set off people on the wrong path. But any kind of sort of, I just binged Landman. Just came out with Billy Bob Thornton. Very good. I can recommend that. Well, to a certain audience, anyway. It's not for kids, that helps me kind of switch off, and usually watching with my wife. So we both enjoy that, and like I said, I think even she sensed that I was having conversations that I was actually invested in, rather than sort of just my mouth moving up and down and other things being in my head. So thanks, mate.
John?
Do you see Ruben Amorim as a kindred spirit? Plays his certain formation, sees it as a waste of time not to do it?
I don't know about a kindred spirit, but I do admire people like that. I think it takes conviction, and it takes, like I said, we just don't live in that world anymore where people have the patience to see things grow and happen, and to rail against that. I've got great admiration for him. Look, I think he's an outstanding manager. I mean, I followed his career, obviously, at Sporting, and there's a reason, he was touted as, for quite a number of clubs, not surprising to me, and I'm going to love seeing how it develops, because I know it will in time, and you'll kind of sit back and admire the fact that he didn't yield or didn't sort of buckle when it's so easy to. It is. It's so much easier to conform, and instead of running the gauntlet of opinion. We all get judged the same way. We get judged on results. I get that. And if you're in my position, or sort of where Ruben is now, you're going to get scrutiny and criticism, but I don't think that means you're not coaching well or managing well. It's just I see those things differently, and I'm sure he'll do a great job, but irrespective, I think he'll have a great career. Just my 2 cents worth.
You haven't got a leaky roof to cope with. You're ahead of the game when it comes to stadiums. Old Trafford.
Oh, sorry. Jeez. That's a that's a challenge for them, I guess. But it's you got to say. I think all jobs are tough managerial jobs, but that Man United one's got a bit extra on it, I reckon. Fair bit of noise around that one.
And George, please.
And I just wanted to take you back to 2020, the season at Yokohama. How much has this 3-month period reminded you of that kind of 4 or 5 months of playing full season, I think it was?
Yeah, similar. Yeah, we kind of, we had a horrendous injury list and a horrendous sort of fixturing as well. It just felt like we were just playing a game every 2 days. It was a very similar period. I guess the difference there was the noise around it wasn't as nearly as kind of loud as it is obviously in the Premier League for all the sort of reasons we know, so that you had time to kind of just clearly think through your strategies and what you wanted to do without having to deal with too many sort of outside influences. So yeah, that's kind of the major difference, but that's the nature of the beast, I guess, when you're managing at the Premier League.
And just one last one, back to Sonny. I mean, the results aren't going well, people look for reasons, and he often has this perception sort of aimed at him of being too nice to be the captain. I mean, obviously you named him a while ago. Well, as I say, when results are going well, people are looking for reasons.
Yeah.
What do you say to people? Because you seem to be saying that quite a lot recently.
Yeah, look, I've said a million times that I think we just live in a world now where people are constantly wanting someone to blame, and they just look. That's just the world we live in. No one will accept the facts as they are. The reason of our poor results is, an inconsistency has not been because of Sonny or because of my tactics or because it's just that we've had 11 injuries for the last 2 months that have meant we've had a tired group of players. But that doesn't suffice, because that doesn't provide a head on a plate. It doesn't give anyone, they want somebody society, that's how we live our lives these days. You look at anything that happens in life, what we want, if somebody makes a mistake, we want to tear them down. There's no leniency anymore. There's no understanding. There's no contextualizing of why maybe this happened. It's just like, no, just burn him at the stake. Let's just go and do that. So they're looking for someone. So, if people think that Sonny hasn't done everything in his power to try and help us through this, so what if he's a nice guy? What's wrong with being a nice person? Why do you have to smack people around? I've seen plenty of captains who are the opposite, and they're pretty poor captains. So Sonny is Sonny. And I've got no complaints about his leadership. I've got no complaints about the way he's gone about things. He's handled it his way. The reason we've struggled is pretty clear, I think, if you want to look at it objectively. But if you're looking for, as I keep saying, if you're looking for someone to blame, then you're talking to the guy who's most culpable.
Sorry, just one follow-up. Part of the issue about starting the captain and that nice guy sort of narrative, a lot of people have in their mind Roy Keane, Tony Adams, as the captain of the team.
They're not nice people?
No, it's more like...
You said that, not me, by the way. It's just to be clear.
Right. No, I mean, as in, it's kind of a perception of what captains used to be. Like, they may not even exist anymore. Is that part of it?
I don't think... I don't think they maybe... Yeah, a little bit, because I think, as I keep saying, the world's changed, dressing rooms have changed. Like, even for the likes of Roy and others, in today's dressing room, I think they'd find it challenging. They probably adjust because, the good leaders do adjust, but they're not the same kind of dressing rooms. The same way I can't be the same manager I was 20 years ago. You can't be that person anymore. You can't just go in there and just, give people ultimatums, players ultimatums about, if you don't like it, you're out of here. That world doesn't exist anymore. It's a different world. So the way you lead now has to be different. And I'm not really sure what people talk about nice. I think if somebody's got good values and are good people, I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, I'm not really sure why you need to be anything different than that. But that doesn't mean you can't, that doesn't inspire people or motivate people. If you come into training, you see Sonny kind of really bouncing around enthusiastic about training, well, that's going to rub off on you. You can't go around moping, because you'll say, well, if I'm doing it, why aren't you? So there are many ways to lead. I think the key to leadership is being yourself, and Sonny certainly is that.